Hello and welcome back to the MLB DFS Slate Breakdown for Wednesday, June 19th, Juneteenth. We're here, we're breaking it down. We still have an 8-game slate tonight, even though we do have a 5-game slate earlier in the day. And it looks like a fun one, both this morning and this afternoon. We're going to get into all that, but before we do, come join us at LineStar. $39.99 per month gets you access to everything we do. All the props, all the DFS, you get it all. One low price. Let's do it. All right. Start off with perfect lineups on Fanduel and DraftKings, as well as the winning lineups on those sites. Then we will get into some starting pitchers to consider and stacks from both sites as well. Now, let's get into it. Unfortunately, all right, here we go. So, perfect lineup on FanDuel. We got Jonathan Cannon, who just put up an absolute gem. 8.2 innings, 4 Ks, 1 win, 1 quality start versus Houston. Houston didn't have Kyle Tucker or Yordan Alvarez in the lineup yesterday, and I mentioned that, pointed it out in chat. What I didn't do was raise my expectations of Jonathan Cannon, and I absolutely should have. He crushed it yesterday and won a lot of people a lot of money going low owned. Now the winning lineups, or the perfect lineup hitters, 2-man Dodger stack. Jason Hayward made it there. He hit a grand slam. He was a pinch hitter. You're never going to get that one, and trying to project that would just be crazy. So that changes the perfect lineup big time, and it's nothing we can really do about it here. But outside of that, it is all one-offs, and the winning lineup went to Abron 70, who won $30,000 with Jonathan Cannon. He had a 2-man Met stack, 2-man Dodger stack, and then one-offs. So not much correlation here. He won by 2 points. He just had the difference maker of 1.7 or 1.4% owned Jonathan Cannon, who just went nuts. And then, I mean, he had some fairly chalky bats outside of that, but also some low-owned guys that just did well. He won by 2 points, and let's check out what the second lineup was with Spencer Swellenbach, who had a great game, 46 points. So literally that is pretty much the difference between 30K was, or 18K was going Jonathan Cannon over Swellenbach. What this person did, they had a 3-man Colorado, 2-man Dodgers, and then 3 one-offs. So at least they used a little more correlation in their lineup. So let's get over to DraftKings. Look at yesterday's perfect lineup. And what do we have here? We have Jonathan Cannon, Tobias Myers. Both went nuts. A 2-man Met stack. 2-man A's stack, who they went nuts on the high-owned Alec Marsh yesterday. Then the winning lineup went to Hicks, who had Cannon, had Cortez, had a 5-man Oakland stack, 2-man Colorado, and one off of Ohtani. So it was the old 5-2-1. We haven't seen that, or I think we saw it yesterday or the day before win, but it hasn't been winning quite as frequently as it was. All in all, though, it is definitely still the most profitable lineup construction. Now, let's get into today's slate, and let's try and power through this a little bit. Oops. Get onto this period. Let's get over to some pitchers, and we got Freddie Peralta, 9,600. 2.0x, 3-star alert score, 31% owned. I mean, what can you say? Freddie P is in a decent spot here versus Angels. He hasn't been pitching quite as well lately. The 4.46 FIP and a 4.85 ERA. So he's got touched up a little bit, and it's not like he's been pitching versus the best offenses. Miami, Cubs, White Sox, Detroit, Cincinnati. And he's got touched up, so something's definitely been a little off with him. Does he straighten that out today? Very possibly. Angels just aren't that great. 21% K rate, 307 WOBA. They do hit the ball hard, though, with a 163 ISO. So they could do some damage. Most likely they don't. I think Freddie Peralta looks just fine. Next, we got Hunter Brown. Hunter Brown looks absolutely great. 7K is too cheap for him. We only do have him at 1.7x, but this guy has been just pitching unbelievable over the last 5 starts. 3.17 FIP, 1.74 ERA, 29% K rate. So there is maybe some regression coming back to the norm for him as he's been getting a little lucky with his pitches, but nonetheless, he is in a great spot versus the White Sox. 24% K rate, 280 WOBA. They just aren't that good. They've been worse in the short term. However, at least they've been hitting the ball hard in the short term with a 186 ISO, 2 righties. Definitely interest in Brown. I think there's good reason that he is this high owned. However, with our projection being a little under, I don't know. I'm going to force him in at 30% owned. Next, we got Cole Ragans. Ragans is in an absolute great spot versus Oakland, who over the last 150 games has been really bad versus left-handed pitching. However, over the last 20 games, 301 average, 253 ISO, 375 WOBA. So they've been hot versus lefties. Now Ragans isn't your normal lefty. He's been absolutely dominant. 2.89 FIP over his last 20, 28% K rate. Over his last 5, 2.75 FIP, 32% K rate. He looks very, very good, and I'm definitely in on him. This short-term success doesn't scare me too much when you talk about a guy the quality of pitcher that Cole Ragans is. So I'm in on him. Joe Ryan. I don't know what's going on with Minnesota pitchers. They have not been pitching very well lately. He has got it done, however, because he does have a 2.73 ERA over the last 5 starts, but a 4.25 FIP. So he's definitely been getting a little bit lucky. And you look and see who he's faced. It's the Nationals, the Royals, Astros, Pittsburgh, Oakland. So not exactly great teams. He got lucky versus them. I don't know if he would get quite as lucky versus Tampa Bay. Now, I don't mind the spot, but I am definitely a little worried when he's one of the higher-owned pitchers. He is projecting well, though, and he's in my pool, but definitely not a guy that I'm trying to force more of. He is in an all right spot, but I have my reservations. Next, we got Kevin Gausman, who is facing Boston, who has just been on absolute fire, hits righties very hard. Gausman's been much worse away. His price is down. We have him at 2x. I can see you absolutely wanting Gausman, and I can see you wanting to get away from him. His StatCast data hasn't looked good. 42% hard contact, a lot of barrel balls, but still a 3.28 FIP over his last 5, 3.7 over his last 20. He is in a decent spot at his price here. It is a tough matchup, but he's only 8.3K, and this is a guy that was, mid or high 10K all last year. Little interested, but also a little worried. Don't mind playing either side of that game. Next, we got Bobby Miller in Colorado. Bobby Miller went 85 pitches in his last rehab assignment. Or actually, that was 10 days ago, so he may have had one more assignment between them. But he's a good pitcher. Had a 3.6 or 3.55 FIP over his last 20 starts, 25% K rate. He's in a good matchup. I'm definitely intrigued by going with some Bobby Miller in Colorado. You just have that aspect that it is in Colorado. But that Colorado offense isn't that good. If he's missing some bats, it could go well for him. I don't mind using Bobby Miller to get a little different. Now, we got a lot of pitchers on this slate. We got Garrett Crochet at versus the Astros. If the Astros don't have Jordan in the lineup again, which I would be surprised about, but if they don't, that lineup is way worse. So definitely got to consider Crochet and pay attention to what Astros lineup is. Meanwhile, he has been just absolutely unbelievable. 1.83 FIP over his last 5 starts with a 39% K rate. Over his last 20, 2.77 FIP with a 35% K rate. StatCast data is a little scary here, but he is way better at home. Only issue here is he's facing a Houston lineup that just doesn't strike out that much. So I definitely like Crochet. I'm interested in him at low ownership, but I am definitely going to be watching that lineup. If Alvarez is not in it, I like it much more. If he is in it, I'm still a little interested, but, it is a tough matchup. Taj Bradley has a huge ceiling, 32% K rate over his last 5, but goes with a 4.8 FIP or 5.6 FIP over his last 20 starts. It's a tough matchup. He's averaging 59% less away. I think it's a pretty scary one to want to go into here. The only thing is that for 8K, he does have a very, very high ceiling. Garrett Cole making his first start. So he went 70 pitches in his last rehab outing. So you have to assume that he's probably not making it to 100 pitches. 85-ish, 90 is probably where I would put my expectations, but it is Garrett Cole, and he's only 9K. Should be 11, should be high 10s. A little bit intrigued still with the lower pitch count. Sean Manaea, I'm totally fine if you want to go here. Texas versus lefties hasn't been that great lately. Issue here is 4.7 FIP. It is still a good offense. I don't mind getting to Samaya. Don't mind getting on the other side. Value-wise, he looks great. Garrett Cole does too, but we maybe should push that projection down slightly just because of the pitch count worries. Cade Bovich looked absolutely great last time out. 6 innings, 6 Ks. He is the top pitcher in the Orioles farm system. 4.27 FIP through his 2 starts. 50% fly ball. Very little hard contact. Moderate amount of soft contact. It is that Yankees offense, though, and he's a lefty, and Yankees just crush lefties. Very hard for me to want to go there. Heaney, Anderson, below, none of these guys are really that intriguing when we have the upside of everybody else we've talked about. So let's get over to FanDuel. Now, FanDuel, highest owned pitcher, Cole Ragans. I think he should be. He's in a very good spot. He's intriguing. Kevin Gausman, only 8K. I think he has to be a guy you consider here, as well as Joe Ryan. Now, Joe Ryan, I have a hard time getting to personally when we have Freddie Peralta going less owned and cheaper. And I think Freddie Peralta just has more upside. So I would be all in on Freddie P over Joe Ryan. But he's interesting. Crochet, 10.5K, pretty much the same thing. Here is I really want to see that lineup. And now Hunter Brown, I'm super intrigued about going low owned and a lower price. A lot of people are going to be paying up for pitching. So Hunter Brown being cheaper can definitely get you very different for tonight's slate. So intrigued on that one. And then you got to make the Garrett Cole decision. Is Cole worth it at 9.9K versus the Orioles, who are a very good offense, and he's on a pitch count? There's a lot of ifs there in that statement, and we got to worry about that for sure. And Bobby Miller is another, cheaper pivot that I would be interested in, and I do believe he will be able to go all out today when he pitches. Now, let's get into stacks here. Our value stack of the day. All right, value stack of the day is the White Sox versus Hunter Brown. Hunter Brown was getting blown up early in the season. He has been amazing lately. So I can see you wanting to take some White Sox. Don't mind going there. I don't love it. I do like Brown today, but I definitely see plenty of paths to taking a low-owned White Sox stack there. Now, let's go over to the high-owned stacks. Dodgers, highest owned versus Ryan Feltner. No surprise there. It is the Dodgers in Colorado. They've been crushing in Colorado. Double-digit runs last night. A lot of runs the night before. Feltner's not great. Colorado bullpen isn't good. Makes some sense to want to go there. Milwaukee's popping up a little bit versus Tyler Anderson, who isn't a great pitcher, and Milwaukee hits them lefties very hard. FIP 5.2 over the last 20. FIP of 5 over the last 5. Definitely intrigued to go there. And our highest projected stacks are going to be the Dodgers because it's in Coors and they've been crushing there. I do have to say, though, that the weather, once again, isn't as beneficial to hitting as it was 2 days ago. But the Dodgers are all over the highest projected stack. And that is no surprise considering that they have a 10.5 total and pretty much everybody else is at 7.5. And there's 2 games at 8 and 5. Ton of people are going to go to the Dodgers. And then like yesterday, I think you can go to Colorado. You have the same hitting environment. You are facing a better pitcher, but it's his first time facing major leaguers so far this season. There's still adjustment even though he was in the majors all of last year. And I clicked value. Let's click ceiling now and see what we got here. Ceiling is probably going to be Dodgers as well. Boston popping in versus Gausman too, which we mentioned. Gausman hasn't been as good at home. He's had a couple rough starts. I think a low-owned Boston is at least interesting. Baltimore popping up a little bit too. Garrett Cole's first start. Slightly intriguing there just because you're getting such a good offense at such a low ownership here. Plus, Garrett Cole, we know, has outings where he gives up 6-7 runs in 2 or 3 innings. So it is possible in his first start back that happens. Plus being a little limited, there's definitely some factors going into Baltimore's favor there. Even though it's not a good matchup for them. Now, let's check out the teams tab. Dodgers have a 5.8 implied run total, so 1.1 higher than anybody else. That is a significant difference. They're going to be higher projected by a good amount. But Colorado, Milwaukee, Mets, Texas, all very, very interesting. And I would say Minnesota too. Taj Bradley hasn't been efficient, hasn't been working deep in the games. The bullpen isn't great behind him. And Bradley's FIP isn't good. He has been giving up runs. He's just electric with Ks and then gives up, a few walks and a home run or something like that. So Minnesota is definitely going to be a lower owned stack that I am intrigued on, as is Toronto for me, or the Yankees versus the good old prospect in Cade Pavich, even though Pavich is good. Boston being an interesting stack with Gausman's hard contact and high average exit velocity and a poor bullpen behind him. Definitely intriguing as well. All in all, I think it's a pretty interesting slate, and Taj Bradley is the guy with the highest FIP over the last 20, followed by Tyler Anderson. So those stacks are definitely intriguing, even though they aren't the highest implied run total. So that'll do it for us today, guys. I won't be back tomorrow. There's only 2 games late, so I'm not going to make that one. However, I will be back Friday. You guys have a good one. Let's make some money. Good luck. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see y'all later. Bye.